Welcome back, boxing fans, to another show with Sean on boxing. It's a big week, a big fight week in December. Generally, we never have Decembers with these kind of huge cards on them. So we're very fortunate this year to have a great December. Not just this huge card this weekend, but obviously quite a few cards later on this month from Japan. Unfortunately, the Inui Goodman fight has been delayed. That's disappointing, but there's still lots of other fights to pay attention to. We'll be back after this short announcement, this short uh, break, and we'll talk about boxing coming up this weekend. So stay tuned. Welcome back. So, this is a great fight card. I have to admit that when the first fight, Fury and Usyk, was made, of course, I was a happy boxing fan because we were getting undisputed heavyweight. This was the first time since Lennox Lewis since we actually had an undisputed heavyweight champion. So, legacy wise, historically, this was fantastic. I was happy that Saudi Arabia reached deep into their pockets to pay for this fight, and we were able to get it done. But going into it, I was not expecting anything too exciting. I'm not a huge Usyk fan. I'm not a huge Tyson Fury fan. So I didn't have a lot on the table as far as this fight was concerned. And I don't think either one of these two fighters has the most exciting of styles. So I wasn't really super stoked or excited about the fight overall, even though I was happy with the card overall and I was happy to see that it was being done. Um, but I was pleasantly surprised. It was a great fight, really far better than I ever anticipated. So going into the second fight, obviously I'm a lot more excited because we know this is going to be a very tightly contested contest between two great heavyweight fighters. For Usyk, if he's able to do the unthinkable and beat Tyson Fury for a second time, that man's legacy is signed, sealed, and delivered. Obviously, there's always going to be people that hate on him because there's always haters out there. But for what he's done in such a short period of time, not only becoming an undisputed cruiserweight champion, but going on to become an undisputed heavyweight champion and beating guys obviously like Daniel Dubois, Anthony Joshua, and Tyson Fury all in this process, it's super impressive. Um, of course, he talked about potentially coming back down to cruiserweight, and I would be super stoked for that because then a potential better BF fight might be on the table. Of course, a Jay Opataya fight and maybe a Zerto Ramirez fight. All of these are really intriguing matchups for Usyk, especially at this point of his career. At heavyweight, I don't think there's much more for him to do. I think it'd be far more interesting to see him go down to cruiserweight to see if he was able to become undisputed for a third time. Um, as far as Fury, we know for Fury, win, lose, or draw, there's still money on the table. If he loses, the fight between him and Anthony Joshua is still a very big fight. Don't matter that both of them are coming off of losses. That is irrelevant. Just like I think an AJ Wilder fight is also still a big fight. And if those guys are smart, they're going to make sure they don't leave the money on the table. If Fury wins, then the most natural thing to happen is obviously a trilogy. We heard Turkey Al Sheikh this week talking on a live video phone call between the three of them, hoping for a trilogy fight. That just shows you how much he's looking for pushing the legacy of boxing. Because, of course, having a heavyweight trilogy is fantastic. We've seen some of the great historical trilogies in history: Evander Holyfield, Riddick Bowe, obviously Ali Frazier, and many others. So to have Usyk Fury 3, especially if Fury was able to win, decisively in the rematch, that would be huge, humongous. But that's part of the intrigue. What's going to happen? How's it going to play out? And who's going to walk away the champion this weekend? So let me know in the comment section below. Who are you leaning towards? Are you more of a Fury fan or Usyk fan? Obviously, I lean towards Usyk. I predicted Usyk to win in the first fight, but I'm kind of turning this upside down the second time around. The second time around, I'm leaning towards Fury to edge out Usyk in the rematch. I could be wrong, but that's my prediction. Sorry if my nose is a little snotty. It's getting cold in Taiwan, and the sniffles is just part of the business. But Funky Nomads in the house, salute Sean. Yes, I know. Based on the way you're writing, I know that's you, Alonzo. Welcome back, Hard Recoil. I'm a huge Usyk fan, but I'm a huge Fury fan. I predicted it was going to be an entertaining fight. Salute. Also amazing. Why the new name? Salute. Change my IG name to my old YouTube name. I don't want them linked. Okay. So, Haldor Gore says, cheers, Sean. Personally, can't make my mind up about the result yet. I have to see the weigh in first. How cold? Well, it ain't cold. But to be fair, we live in cement boxes, right? With no insulation and no heating. So it doesn't have to be very cold for it to be pretty fucking cold in your house. It just becomes like a storage room in the basement, right? Where you put all your food. It becomes like that. Machado, what's up? Um, to be fair, I mean, I wouldn't mind Usyk winning the rematch. I just think that Fury had enough success in the first fight that if he's able to learn from that, he could totally make adjustments and win the second time around. Not that Usyk couldn't, and that's going to be part of the intrigue, obviously. Sean, are you a smart man? I'm shocked you aren't fluent in the Taiwanese language. Yes, I'm not a smart man. Obviously, that's why I'm on YouTube. I know Idendian, but that's all. My Chinese is not good. 我说的不好，我的中文不好。Would you prefer on heavy but solid Fury or a lighter but faster Fury with the fight? To be fair, I don't see the point of trying to fight your opponent's fight, right? I feel that's what Anthony Joshua did in his fights versus Usyk. And I don't think that was the way for him to really go into that fight. You're not going to outbox the guy who's a better boxer. And in this case, even if Fury comes in at his best and is his fastest and lightest, he's not a better boxer than Usyk. So his biggest strength is the fact that he is a good boxer. He's longer, he's bigger, and if he could use that physicality to his advantage, I say use your physicality. I mean, use what God gave you. I think you misread. I put that you are a smart man. Oh, I thought you said, are you a smart man? I thought it was a question. I'm shocked you aren't fluent in Taiwanese. Salute, Newton. What's up, Technique? The fight this weekend is truly a 50-50 fight. True. I'm picking Usyk to win, but won't be surprised if Fury pulls it out for the trilogy. Obviously, one of the things, narratives going around now, is a lot of people think the fix is in. They think that Turki Al-Sheikh is going to, uh, you know, uh, put his dirty little fingers in there and lean towards Fury, who obviously people feel he favors. And he favored Fury the first time Fury lost. He favored Bivol the first time he lost. I think the one thing we can say so far about Saudi Arabian cards, the fix is not in. They let the fights unfold naturally, even if it goes against the fighter that they're edging, which, I guess maybe we could attribute that to Eddie Hearn, because Eddie Hearn loves to put his fighters in 50-50 fights they end up losing. And I respect that, because at least you're putting them in fights. Usyk is not a hard puncher, but they are still afraid to get hit from him. The only one was Chisora, but that tried to bully him. Exactly. Pigeon going around, I think, with Technique troll accounts of you and one called Technique Dirty Goblin. I think it's him. I don't understand these people that go out and just do fake accounts. You got no life? You got nothing else going on? What's with that stuff? Sean, do you think the Sheik really has any boxing knowledge? I think he's a boxing fan. So, of course, he has boxing knowledge as a fan. But he's also, I think, more a fan than he is an expert in boxing. And that's not a bad thing. Coming from a fan's perspective, it means he's going to make fights that fans want to see, not necessarily doing what's always the best thing for boxing or particular fighters. And we will see. Usyk hits hard, but he's not a puncher like Wilder. If it was any heavyweight can do damage. Check that guy with 4 KOs to stop Munguia. Takes only one punch. Even us could hit with power. Funky Nomad. Yup, that's Pigeon. Uh, that's the thing with heavyweights. That's really why heavyweights are different, because you don't have to be Deontay Wilder to score knockouts. You just need to land a shot. When you're 240, 260 pounds and you land clean on somebody's jaw, they're going to sleep, right? And that's the thing we learned from Munguia. He got caught by the perfect punch right on the chin, lights out. And that's not bad. I wasn't upset that Munguia lost. It is what it is. And I'm not going to dismiss and downplay him because he ended up getting knocked out by an unknown fighter. We've seen many fighters get beat by unknown fighters in boxing history. It is what it is. The problem with some fans, specifically casual fans or fan boys, unfortunately, they're too blinded by, simping or stupidity or ignorance to just be fans of the sport, right? Anything can fucking happen. And that's the whole point. That's why we watch sports, all sports. You watch March Madness, and what makes it great is that anything can fucking happen. 16 can upset number one in a last minute overtime fucking 3 point fucking Hail Mary, right? Anything can happen. Sports is the ultimate drama. And that's what makes it so great. And that's why when people like JB and others put race into this, boxing doesn't need to be bogged down by all that bullshit, just like sports doesn't. Nowhere else do I watch sports where race becomes such a fucking issue. Nowhere. And yet, race could be an issue in every sport if you wanted to make it into it. But it's not. Fans come together to support a common team, a common player, and regardless of race, ethnicity, fucking religion, they all fucking cheer for the same person. This is what it's like. You go to a bar and you'll have all kinds of different people in the bar supporting somebody. Everyone's cheering. You have the other people, everyone's fucking jeering. And that's what makes sports great. The thrill of victory and of course, the sadness of fucking defeat. But unfortunately, we got too many fuckboys around YouTube that just trying to make the sport fucked up. Where are we? Vitaly Klitschko was a force of nature, and even pillow-handed Chris Bird made him back off. Exactly. And I like Chris Bird. Chris Bird was a very underrated heavyweight in his time. Very similar to Usyk, right? Not the biggest heavyweight, but fast, good footwork, skilled. And when you throw him in with big, lumbering fucking heavyweights, that could be the difference between winning and losing. You think about Jess Willard, right? Back in the fucking, 20s, 30s, 40s? He was huge, right? And Dempsey knocked his ass out, right? Or was that Primo Carrera? I always get them mixed up. But regardless, same situation. Just because you're big doesn't mean you're good. Obviously, in many situations, it's the opposite. The smaller guys are the more skilled fighters, and they're able to use that skill to benefit them. This is why Canelo Alvarez fights at 168, because he's able to use his speed and skill against slower, bigger fighters than he is at. Bird was very interesting to follow. By the way, do you know that Ike Iabuchi was recently supposed to fight in December for some comeback? I know he's back. He's out of prison, and I know he's coming back to box, but I didn't know there was a specific date yet for him to get back in the ring. Maybe they could do a Chris Bird Ike Iabuchi rematch. Wasn't Ike Iabuchi the guy that knocked Chris Bird out, or was that James Tua? One of those guys knocked his ass fucking flat out. Sean, did you see JB's video saying Inui is the size of Tio? He exposed himself talking about fighters draining down to have an advantage. Well, see, the thing with JB is he only does that when he tries to dismiss and downplay non-black fighters. I mean, Devin Haney ballooned up in weight in the Lomachenko fight. He was so adamant that Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia be played on an even playing field. But he wasn't too concerned about Lomachenko, Devin Haney being on an even playing field. And then even fucking Regis Prograis pointed out how much Devin Haney ballooned up in weight in their fight. And this is when he moved up in weight, and he still ballooned up in weight, 28 pounds, right? But people ignored it, downplayed it, because of course they're dick riding a fighter, and so the narrative they push towards other fighters no longer applies. And then of course people hated on Ryan Garcia for being a weight bully, coming in weight, too heavy, not making weight, but yet they both fucking almost weighed exactly the same on fight night, meaning Devin Haney put on a shitload of fucking weight the next day, right? A shitload. I mean, boxers do this. That's part of sports. But of course, JB only does it because he wants to downplay non-black fighters, shit on them, dismiss them, discredit them, and hate on them. Yet he's the one playing a victim fucking every day. I saw an interview with Ike, and he said that he was very well conditioned at the moment, but hey, at 51 years old or so, he said that he's fit. Well, he's been in jail, right? Those jail workouts, man, those guys are fucking in shape because all you got to do is work out all fucking day. And that's what they do, work out all day. But let's check out this. Where is my thing? There it is here. Is this the right one? What am I looking at? What the fuck is that? Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay. Sorry. There we go. So we're just looking at the fights coming up. Obviously, we had some fights recently that just happened. Uh, Nishida, the bantamweight fighter from 118 pounds, who's the WBO world champion, I think, just had a spectacular body shot knockout this past Monday or Tuesday to defend his WBO bantamweight title. He's not the hardest puncher from that division, but he is definitely the most skilled. Obviously, beating Rodriguez to win his title. I would love to see him in with one of the other Japanese champions. I'm curious to see what Junto Nakatani is going to do. Obviously, we'd heard that he was going to fight Inui's brother, and then if he was to beat Inui's brother, then he would have obviously jumped at the opportunity to then face Inui in sort of a revenge clash, right? But unfortunately, Inui's brother lost. So now you have three other Japanese fighters, none of whom have the name recognition of Inui's brother or Junto Nakatani, but yet I would love to see him against any of them. And hopefully we get to see one of those fights coming up. But, that's part of the interest. Who's going to be next? But here's the card for Usyk and Fury. Obviously, it's not for undisputed. Usyk voluntarily dropped one of the titles, even though here, oh, sorry, this is BoxRec. BoxRec doesn't list WBA. They had a falling out with the WBA, so now WBA does not exist. But obviously, he dropped his IBF title to allow Daniel Dubois to fight Anthony Joshua for a world title. So Usyk and Fury for 3 of the 4 titles plus the IBO title. I'm disappointed, like I think most people are, that Sergey Bolchak is obviously not going to be fighting Madrimov. That was a fight that I think most people were super excited about when that fight was originally signed. You imagine Bohocuk coming off of a controversial loss to Virgil Ortiz, jumping in the ring to take on Madrimov, who obviously was coming off a super competitive fight with Bud Crawford in their first fight back in the ring. Like, that shows you the determination and heart that these guys have. And I ain't trying to hate on American fighters, but because Ortiz is an American fighter and he's in the mix for all that as well. But generally, American fighters, you don't see this kind of energy from them, whether it's from the promotional companies or the TV networks that show them. You don't see guys usually jump into such difficult fights coming off of very close competitive losses. Now he's going to be fighting Ishmael Davis, who currently is 13-1 as a replacement opponent. This definitely makes this card far less exciting than it was. With Usyk and Fury and fucking Bohocuk and Madrimov, those first 2 fights right there were great. Every boxing fan at that point was sold on this card. Now you throw this guy, and he's a good name for this card because obviously he's from the UK. We know that the Saudi cards are on the same time frame as the UK. So UK audiences really sort of get behind these Saudi cards. Now he's going to be fighting the Black Panther, 13-1, 6 knockouts, never been stopped, from Leeds, Yorkshire, 29 years old. Coming off of a loss in his last fight to Josh Kelly. Interesting enough, Josh Kelly's not the one getting this fight. You figure ex-Olympian Josh Kelly would have been a better opponent, maybe a more intriguing opponent, but unfortunately, he's not the one that got this fight. Prior to that, he beat Troy Williamson, which was a pretty good victory. And even his loss to Josh Kelly was very competitive, right? Majority decision for Josh Kelly. So it's a good fight. I'll be intrigued to see what Bohulchuk is able to do against this kid. Obviously, Bohulchuk is the heavy favorite on the betting lines for good reason. And for him, this is kind of that fight where you're going to get another good Saudi Arabian payday based on your great performance against Virgil Ortiz. You go in there and fucking destroy Ishmael Davis. And this is guaranteeing you another big money fight under Saudi Arabia. Whether that's going to be a fight between Ortiz Madrimov winner or potentially maybe a Bud Crawford fight, even though the speculation is now that Bud Crawford is going to fight Bakram Mirzaliev for unification. I don't know if that's true or not, but it was one rumor that's been going around the last few days. And I hope that's true because that, my friends, is fucking incredible. If Bud Crawford goes in with Bakram Mirzaliev, you got to give Bud Crawford huge credit, because that ain't an easy fight. You're going in with another Eastern European fighter that people don't know. So it's not a big marketable fight either, right? It's not like you're fighting somebody that's going to get you a lot of recognition. You're fighting a guy the majority of boxing fans have never even heard of, kind of like Madrimov. But it shows you fight two guys like that, it shows you're all about winning, man, because it's not about picking and choosing opponents because of name recognition or something of that nature. You're literally picking two good opponents, tough, hard fighters that don't have big names. So hats off to Bud Crawford if that does happen. Jazzy Jeff says, salute Chat and Sean. Should be a good rematch. I think so. So many good fights getting canceled or postponed. That's the other disappointing, right? Fuck, man. Again. This is like every fucking year. Beterbiev is now pulling out of the scheduled February 22nd fight with Bivol. Oh, so going from the best card in the history of boxing to losing the headline fight. Obviously, Shakur versus what's his face is still a good fight. The rest of the card is solid. It's a very, very, very good card. I don't know if it's the best card in history now. And this is kind of the same thing that happened when Ortiz and Tim Tszyu fell off. The same time when Beterbiev and fucking Bivol the first time fell off. It's disappointing when this happens, man. Super disappointing. Because Beterbiev is just getting fucking older, right? What do you think of Neri versus MJ matchup? I think that would be a great fight. I mean, if MJ really, really wants to earn a Nui fight, you go in there and destroy fucking Luis Neri, right? And that's only going to build up the fight between you and Nui even more. And you might as well still stay busy and get paid. Because what are you going to do? Spend another fucking year waiting and not doing anything? What's up, Iceman? The sport of boxing sure knows how to devalue the matchups and boxers. It's frustrating. Let me tell you, I mean, the way people love to hate and shit on fighters, all it does is devalue the sport and the fighters. We felt Beterbiev's age in his last fight. He stops to take a breather much more than before. We have a lot of good fights coming up, though. It's true. And more fights are being announced all the time. It's just very disappointing. I was excited that the Bivol Beterbiev fight was happening so quickly, right? And you figure, really, in this circumstance, it's probably the best thing that could happen to Beterbiev, right? Because you're coming off of a performance, so ring rust is going to be gone. You're going to be probably in the best shape available. You've had time since the last fight where you just came off of knee surgery. So now your knee is obviously going to be better the second time around. Now you broke your hand. It's just one fucking thing after another. And, I mean, that's what happens when you get old, right? Literally. We are seeing the best fight, the best in boxing is in a good place. I agree, technique. I'm not pessimistic. It's just I'm disappointed. But boxing in the last 2 years has been fucking great. Last year, the PBC really gave us tons of great fights. This year with Saudi Arabia, DAZN has killed it all throughout this time. ESPN consistently does what they do, which is not necessarily give us the biggest fights, but give us just great fights and developing young fighters month after month after month. Training camps wearing on Better BF more than the fights at his age. That's a fucking fact. That's a fact. Those training camps are killing the dude, man. Killing him. What happened? Ah, there we go. So then we look at the rest of this card, and this is really just a UK domestic card, if we want to be fair. American boxing fans are not going to be very excited about this fight card. For me, a guy who lives in Taiwan, I need to wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning to watch the first fight, and then go until 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock to watch the main event. I'm probably just going to wake up at 5 o'clock and catch the Chuck Usyk fights. Isaac Lowe against Lee McGregor. I think that's going to be a very good fight. Andre Trevisky against Edgar Ramirez. I can tell you, I'm unfamiliar with either one of those two fighters, so I don't know what to expect one way or the other. This guy, Andre, 13-0, 10 knockouts, Ukrainian, 29 years old, 6'6". He looks the part, right? But when we look at who he's been fighting previously, not bad opponents, but nothing exciting. Now he's jumping in to face Edgar Ramirez, 10-1-1, 4 knockouts, 29 years old from Mexico. I think it just is a showcase fight. I think really in truth, he's just going to fucking kill this fucking guy, and there's not going to be much to it. Obviously, Andre Novinitsky is somebody to pay attention to in the future. Ramirez is just a stay busy opponent. Peter McGrail versus Rice Edwards. Moses Atame versus Dempsey McKean. I would love to see that fight. I hope that that's the third fight on the card. If I wake up at 5, I hope I catch that. Chuck and Usyk, because Atame, I know I'm butchering his name, sorry, but nonetheless, this kid is a kid that wants to break Mike Tyson's record for the youngest heavyweight champion in history, currently 19 years of age. I think he's got until March or April to potentially try to break that record. And I know they're talking about potentially trying to get the regular title so he could become a world champion, but with a regular title. 10-0, 8 KOs. He looks good. And him fighting Dempsey McKean, 22-1. This is a huge step up fight. Huge, right? This is kind of the equivalent of Big Baby facing what's his face? Who was the fucking Congo guy? I can't think of his name. You know what I mean? But it's similar. Very good young up and comer taking on a guy who's way more seasoned. And this could easily go the wrong way quick. Johnny Fisher versus David Allen. At this point, this fight's probably not too bad. David Allen's been really inactive. He's not really even an active fighter anymore. So for Fisher, it should be easy work for him. But the Moses fight, I don't know. Could be dangerous, man. Could be dangerous. Keith Thurman played himself out of relevance. The whole welterweight picture changed, and he had the nerve to think too highly of himself. No one cared. Yeah, and that's the problem. You sit around talking and not doing anything, people eventually lose interest in you. It's me, Alonzo. Change my name. Okay, stop that, Alonzo. No one cares about Thurman when he got him back, I meant. That's for sure. You changed your name, but wasn't sure. Thurman was a hype job. Now he's a nobody. I don't even remember the last time he fought. I didn't want it linked to my Instagram because I changed my name on IG. Bacoli. Thank you, Jazzy. Yes, Jazzy Jeff, you're right. Martin Bacoli. It's similar, right? I won't say that Dempsey McKean is as good as Martin Bacoli, but I think it's a similar sort of situation. You're putting a real young, inexperienced fighter in with a very, veteran, seasoned fighter, a guy who's fought really high level opponents. I mean, the only guy to beat Dempsey McKean was Daniel Dubois, right? Was it Daniel Dubois? I think so. So, that's tough, man. That's tough. You got to appreciate a guy doing that. That's no easy work there. McKean, he's one ugly Australian. Oh, sorry, Hergovich. He lost to Hergovich, which, to be fair, Hergovich is fucking a good fighter. Hergovich got to get back on those Saudi cards, right? 32 years old, 17 and 1, 14 KOs. His only loss coming to Daniel Dubois, obviously in June, right? How come he's not back in the ring? July, August, September, October, November, December. It's 6 months since that fight, right? That was a tough fight, but Daniel Dubois already came back, beat Anthony Joshua to become a champion, and apparently is organizing another fight already. For this kid, he should be fighting somebody, man. You don't have to be in with somebody that's a killer. He just needs to get back in the ring and have an opportunity to beat somebody's ass, right? Whoever. But overall, that's the fight card. 3 fights on this card I'm interested in. This Ukrainian kid, I wouldn't mind seeing him fight. Peter McGrail obviously was a good amateur fighter, but as far as a pro, overrated, not that great. 10 and 1, knocked out, 6 KOs. Got knocked out by who? Jericho O'Quinn, right? 16 1 and 1 in 5 rounds, right? He's never really going to be anything to write home about. Isaac Lowe, a domestic UK fighter, 25 2 and 3, not much power. Got beat by Nick Ball, destroyed by Lopez. So it shows his level. The fact he beat Alberto Guevara, that's probably the best victory on his name. Surprised he even got that fight. And as far as his opponent, Lee McGregor, not bad. Another domestic UK fighter, 14 1 and 1, a little bit of power, 11 Ks. His loss came to Eric Robles, 13 and 1, went the distance. So not bad, right? I'm predicting actually that I think that Lee McGregor is going to win that fight, but let me know in the comment section below. What do you think? Who's going to walk away with the title there? Martin McCauley isn't a good boxer, but he's dangerous, man. He is. Thurman was a hype job in the sense that he talked a lot, but he was a serious competitor. Oh, he's a top operator. The problem was he became more of a fucking showman than a go-man, and that's the end of his career. Hergovich, biggest enemy is inactivity. Hergovich, Joshua, they won't put Joshua in with that fight. No chance, because Joshua's getting fucking KO'd. I don't think that AJ is ever going to come back in the ring. He will. They're going to put him back in the ring for big money fights because his name still has a lot of marketability to it. Good matchmaking, recoil. Hergovich gasses out too soon. Well, that's not an issue with fucking AJ. that's not an issue with him. No issue at all. So what other big cards are happening this weekend? Dun, dun, dun. I can't remember. Anybody, let me know. Where's my phone? I made my predictions this week. Where's my prediction league? Prediction league. Makabu, Pahalo. Quite a bit of cruiserweight fights going on. Mama, Ditchko. Yeah, so it's mostly that, the only really fights to pay attention to, mostly Fury, Usyk. I'm predicting Fury by split decision. And Baholchuk, I'm predicting Baholchuk by 9th round TKO. Itamu, I predicted him by 8th round TKO. That might be too confident of me. Fisher by 3rd round TKO. I definitely think what's his face is done. Excuse me. Did I pick what's this? Yeah, I picked McGregor by majority decision. Lapin by split decision. Nowitzki by fifth round TKO. Yeah, so, you know, there you are. There you go. Where are we? AJ looks like a shell of himself against the Bois. He looked terrible. Terrible. I don't even know who's on the undercard for Fury Usyk. Well, I just told you. It was supposed to be Boholchuk versus Madrimov. But of course, Madrimov pulled out. So Boholchuk is fighting a domestic UK fighter. Then you have Moses Atome versus Keane, which is a good fight. Uh, I was very impressed with Emmanuel Navarrete. Hope to see him in discussion to fight Tank. I think he would be a legendary fight. Man, I don't think that fight happens, even though I think Tank would beat him. But I think obviously the most likely fight you could expect for Navarrete is the 126-pound WBO champion, Espinoza. Espinoza coming up in weight and taking on him. Uh, no, you can't say Madrimov's ducking Boholchuk to fight fucking Virgil Ortiz. You're taking on a bigger name opponent that you're going to make more money. So it's kind of a no-brainer, right? A no-brainer. Let's be honest. Uh, Navarrete looked good. I mean, apparently the reason he didn't look so good in his previous two fights is because he had an injured hand. I don't know how much truth you can put on that, but it is what it is. Do you think Madrimov only saved himself for his next fight? Yes. Who would take on Boholchuk in December and then try to take Virgil Ortiz in February? That was just never really going to make much fucking sense at all, right? So I think he pulled out because the other fight was bigger money. And why would you want to risk the payday to take on a dangerous opponent? It sucks for Boholchuk, but his whole career's kind of been like that way. Remember, he was supposed to fight Sebastian Funduro, right, for the WBC interim title or something. And of course, then Sebastian Funduro became a Tim Tszyu replacement opponent. And then Boholchuk got fucked out of that payday as well. So it is what it is, right? Some guys are just more marketable, and people will jump at the opportunity to take on certain opponents over others. Disappointing, but nonetheless, it is what it is. Boholchuk is a good fighter. I'm sickened him versus Madrimov got canceled. Yeah, it's disappointing for sure. But as I said earlier, because he's working so well with Saudi Arabia and he's so easy to work with, that they're giving him an opponent he can beat, right? So he's getting a payday against an opponent he should destroy. And then obviously this is going to lead to more higher end payday somewhere down the line on a Saudi Arabian card as well. So, really, I guess they're treating him well. It's not like he's being really fucked over. He didn't lose the fight date completely. He's still getting his payday. He's probably making the same amount of money. And all this means it's going to be a far easier fight for the same payday. And because you're being nice and flexible, now it just means that we're going to be that much more willing to work with you down the road to give you bigger opportunities when they're available. And I think that's kind of the way things work out, right? Matchroom has always been kind of like that. Eddie Hearn keeps his fighters busy. And obviously, Turkey Al Sheikh shows you that he's not against fighters fighting competition. And if you win, lose, or draw, I'm not just going to fucking throw you aside. I'm going to keep giving you opportunities. Deontay Wilder got two big fight dates, and the speculation is that Deontay Wilder is going to be fighting, what's his face? The big African, the MMA fighter. What's his face? AJ Fury. So apparently that's going to be the next fight for Wilder, right? Okay, that's fine. We gave you tough fights. It didn't work out in your favor. You didn't get the big AJ money fight, but we're going to give you this guy. It's going to be a big money fight. He's not a real boxer, so you should be able to beat him. And if you do get knocked out by him, it's a terrible fucking look, but you're going to get paid. Yes, Francis Ngannou, exactly. But you're going to get paid big money, man. And that's three big money paydays that Wilder is getting to end his career. He could be with, of course, the PBC, and he'd probably be fucking not getting any fights at all. So at the end of the day, you got to think about who's paying the bills. He's talking about Ngannou. Yes, Francis Ngannou. And I think that would be a great fight. I would love to see Wilder versus Francis Ngannou. We saw Francis give Tyson Fury a tough fight. And then, of course, we saw AJ fucking demolish Francis Ngannou. You throw Wilder in there, and it'd be intriguing to see what Wilder is able to do with him. I mean, Francis is a huge monster, right? So physically, he's going to be able to sort of dominate Wilder physically, but Wilder is a boxer. If he can land that big right hand, it could be fucking lights out, just like the AJ fight. What do you guys reckon? Who would you favor in the matchup between Francis Ngannou and Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder? Wilder's shot, no reflexes. That's the problem, right? Can he still fucking let his right hand go? If he can't let his right hand go, he's fucking done. Because after 4 rounds, I think he's just going to be fucking on broken Bambi legs, and it's just going to be inevitable that Ngannou's going to hit him in the temple with some big hook and fucking put him to sleep. But if fucking AJ could land that huge right hand against him, you know what's available. Big right hand. Boom. And to be fair, Wilder's got a great right hand. So it's just a matter of setting it up, paw jab, pull back, boom, and fucking drop that shot on Francis's fucking big ass dome. Fucking Francis' head like fucking a football. Wilder was never the same after the beating Fury gave him. Well, to be fair, I don't think he was fucking the same going into the second fight, right? The second fight, his legs were fucked. And this third fight, it was the same. His legs were fucked in that fight as well. Wilder can't box, so Ngannou might catch him first. I think Ngannou will be a hard fight for Wilder, but I think Wilder will get it done. And if he gets it done, Anthony Joshua fucking fight. Think about that, right? AJ, Wilder. You got to love that fight because it still fucking makes money. And if you're AJ and Wilder, that's the fight you're looking for. That's why they're throwing him Francis Ngannou. Because if he's able to knock out Francis, then they can market the AJ Wilder fight, right? And it will pay. If he can't get by fucking Francis Ngannou, then fucking Christ, there's no point even pushing for an AJ Wilder fight because that shit don't make any sense at all. I still think Wilder beats AJ as well. The way AJ looked against Dubois, fuck. Anything is possible. Wilder versus Ngannou is a toss-up. Whoever lands first should win. Yeah, I mean, it could be that fucking easy, right? That's the one good thing you could say about AJ. He fucking dismantled that guy and made it look easy, right? And the only reason people felt that the fight was going to be competitive is because how much Fury struggled against him, right? Which nobody could imagine. Could be a year. A year? A yeep? What's a yeep? Could be a yeep. Here, let me order my dinner. Since we're sitting here talking about boxing. Parker should be the one to get the title shot. He did enough, in my opinion. Parker's getting the shot. He's getting a fight with Daniel Dubois. That fight's fucking signed, sealed, and delivered, right? As far as I knew. Oh. Where are your troll fans today? I'm not sure. Oh, really cool. I don't know. Maybe those guys are working, paying off their alimony. Give me a second. It never surprises me, some of the fucking trolls on YouTube, man. Like, We just talking boxing, people. That's all. Talking boxing. There's no need to hate. There's no need to fucking push your bullshit. Just be fans. I mean, if somebody loves boxing and they love particular fighters, I got no problem with that. But stop fucking trying to hate on other people's fighters to build up yours. That's something you never notice me do. In the history of my channel, I've never shit on other people's fighters to build up fighters I like. I don't need to do that. And that's really been my biggest fucking anger with this double standard. The way that people will fucking perpetuate this double standard, all to do what? Hate on a particular fighter. Like JB, literally making videos trying to shit on Japanese fighters, shit on small weight fighters, literally just shit on other fighters, all to try to fanboy fighters he likes. Like he's trying to fanboy Charles Conwell, right? I like Charles Conwell. I've been talking about Charles Conwell well before fucking JB has. He came out with a video acting as if Virgil Ortiz is ducking Charles Conwell and that De La Hoya doesn't want to make that fight. But am I mistaken? Doesn't Virgil Ortiz have a fight set up with Madrimov? That's a far bigger fight than Charles Conwell. So why are you looping Conwell in with Ortiz? There's other fucking opponents available. Why does it need to be Ortiz? Why is only Ortiz available? Well, we know why. Because JB's trying to hype up the black fighter by shitting on the Mexican. Even though Ortiz is American, he's always talking about how people should support their own. Yet he's not supporting the American fighter in Virgil Ortiz, right? This kind of hypocrisy is what fucking aggravates me, the stupidity. Where are we? Is the food there similar to Chinese restaurants? No, no chance. Is Chinese food called Chinese food in China, or is it just called food? Well, even in China, there's many regions in China with specific food. Szechuan food, very spicy and great. Hong Kong food is very different, mostly like steamed food, right? So you got many regions of China that have very different food. Taiwan, obviously, Taiwan has some food from China, which has kind of become Taiwan style, but they have very specific Taiwanese food as well. And also depends on where you are. But I'm not ordering fucking Taiwanese food. I'm ordering from what do you call it? A place that makes beer and sells their own beer at a place. I know there's a name for it. Why is it escaping me? Like a brew pub or something like that. There's a good brew pub in Taichung, and they have great fucking chicken, right? Just the chicken pieces, chicken tenders, and the chicken sandwich. Not a pub. Pub is totally English. But it's like they make their own beer. Pubs don't make their own beer. They sell brands, right? Bottles or draft beer. But this place, they make their own beer, not bar and grill. Like, it's like a small brewery that produces their own beer. And then they sell their own beer on premise. But, you also have a food and restaurant there. Like a brewery, a brew pub. I mean, it's not the word I'm thinking for, but, not a tavern. But it's a Taiwan tavern, okay. And what's good about it is usually Taiwan doesn't have outdoor seating areas because it's too hot, and Taiwanese people don't like the sun. So they're mostly inside with the air conditioning. So you got a big patio. You can sit up there, have beers. The chicken is great in your outside, even though sometimes it's hot as balls. But, that's the price you pay for a good time. But yeah, they deliver on Uber, and the food is fucking good. Haucher, even though we'll see if it aggravates my gallbladder, my gallstones. If it does, shit, that would be terrible. Because I love that food. Mad Chad's Tavern. Hey, that's a good name. Mad Chad's Tavern. Everything's covered in Tabasco sauce. Any thoughts on Ricardo Torres Jr., that silver medalist that fights at heavyweight? Well, I'm surprised Mexican something isn't here because Munguia just got knocked out and another fighter he got beat. So this weekend was a bad weekend for him two fighters he supports got fucking beat. Uh, he is like the LDBC for Mexican fighters. He loves Richard Torres. He thinks he's much better than Big Baby Miller. But I think Big Baby Miller would fucking destroy Richard Torres. Would destroy him. Uh, but Torres is good. You know, he's fine, but he's undersized, right? He would be better off at cruiserweight, right? Trying to get a fight with Zerto, trying to get a fight with fucking Jay Opataya, right? Those would be fights that make more sense for him. But, you know, we'll see what he does with his porn stash. Sean in the chat, what's up? Mar, the machine, what's up? But yes, I'm just excited because I got 2 more days of work and then I got 9 days off for Christmas. That's not bad. 9-day holiday. It's disappointing I'm not going anywhere, but I thought I was going to have to get my gallbladder removed. But I'm holding out to avoid that shit because I don't want to do that and live with diarrhea for the rest of my fucking life. So hopefully some changes in diet and a few things here and there, and I'll be right as rain. Yeah, Torres is a small heavyweight. Small, right? Right? And the problem is, obviously he had good amateur pedigree, but when you watch him, he's not super impressive. He's not like a fucking Usyk, right? You don't see what he's going to do as a small heavyweight to really take advantage of foot speed and hand speed and boxing ability against bigger heavyweights. I don't really fucking see that. Low fat diet for gallbladder. No, low fat diet for gallbladder is the worst thing you can do. It's going to lead to more gallstones. You want fat because you want your gallbladder to keep working. If you eat low fat food, you're never going to squeeze out all the junk from your gallbladder, which is going to break down the gallstones. So you got to eat the fat food, even if occasionally that's going to fucking cause you some pain because you want to make sure that shit keeps flowing. And they say the main thing you want to do is make sure that you thin out the juice, if you know the whatever it's called, fucking what is it? The stuff that's in your gallbladder. Why I can't think of the word. You want to thin it out so it just flows. Um, I like what he does, whether he's good or not. I just like following his fights. The problem is, so far, he's fought such shit competition that it's really hard to get a real, yeah, the bile, thank you. It's hard to get a real feel on him, right? Like to see really how good he is. I bet McSmith would know a good diet. Well, really, what you want to do is probably eat a very high protein, fat, low carb diet because low carb is better for your liver. And if your liver is working better, that'll apparently make your bile work better. So, grass-fed butter, organic beef, lean chicken, some fatty fishes, and we'll see what works. To be fair, when I was eating a really high fat protein diet, I didn't have any problems with my gallbladder. It's mostly when I'm just eating high carb bullshit food, and that's mostly when it kicks up. Like today, high fat chicken sandwich. We'll see what happens when I eat that. But what else do we got going in this boxing world? What's another big fight coming up? I know there's some of those fight cards from Japan, but what's the next big fight? Obviously, February. Is there anything in January? I'm kind of can't recall. Where's my ESPN thing? They always list, right? ESPN. Boxing schedule. ESPN, there we go. You're doing good in the prediction league this season, Sean. Kicking D. Jeff's ass. Up and down, right? Up and down. Truth be told, the guy that runs it gave me a clue on how I could do better because I've been picking people to win by unanimous decision, but that's not the right thing to do. You got to pick fucking majority or split decisions. You get extra points if you're right. If you're wrong, you still get the points for the decision win. So I wasn't doing that. and everybody else probably was. So that was one reason why I've struggled, I guess, against many of these other cheating motherfuckers. They had the information I didn't have. So January 22nd, 24th, the reschedule the Nui fight against Sam Goodman. That's obviously a fight I'm looking forward to. Disappointed it's not happening this month. February 1st, and we just had, did you guys watch the weigh-in for Benavidez and Morrell? I heard that Morrell threw the belt at Benavidez and there was a bit of a scrap. I didn't see anything, but I heard that's what happened. Benavidez Morrell 12 rounder for Benavidez WBC and Morrell's WBA uh, baby belts. So those aren't legitimate world titles. Then, of course, 22nd, the better be a Bivol fight, but apparently that fight's off. Then, of course, we have Davis and Lamont Roach, and that shit. You know, it is what it is. Nothing to get excited about. Oh, okay. New Year's Eve, we still have a great card, actually from Japan. This is a card I'm excited about. Fernando Puma Martinez rematch against Kazuta Ioka. I'm hoping Ioka can win. Historically, he's done very well in rematches. If he can win, you know he's going to get a Bam Rodriguez fight, guaranteed. Bam loves beating the old fucking fighters. On the undercard is a very good fight. Hayato Tsutsumi, one of the best up and coming young fighters at 130 pounds in boxing. He's fighting Renny Alvarado, a very good veteran, tough as nails fucking fighter. Tsutsumi's good, man. He's a very good fighter. Underrated Japanese fighter. Obviously, doesn't have many fights. I think he's got 5 professional fights right now, but taking on like an ex-world champion. January, Jay Opataya is fighting against some guy I've never heard of. Justice Hooney is fighting. That's a good card, good Australian card. And then, of course, Anui versus Goodman. Yoshida Takai is on the card, the bantamweight champion. Jin Sasaki is going to be on that card as well. And the other bantamweight fighter or super bantamweight fighter, I think, Toshiki Shimomaki is going to be fighting Mishaki Hirana. Not bad. For a Japanese card, it's solid all the way around. And then Benavidez. For this card, it's not bad, right? I'm excited about it, but overall, none of these fights are something I'm super excited about. Figueroa Fulton, I've seen it. I expect Figueroa to be more dominant the second time around, now that obviously he's bigger and more in his comfortable weight class. Isaac Cruz versus Angel Ferrero, that's not an interesting fight. And then Ramos versus Rosario. It's not really that exciting a fight. Rosario has looked really garbage, looked done, shot. And for Ramos, it should be an easy opponent. So, what do we say? Benavidez pushed Morale. Those guys are doing anything they can to get some attention. And then, of course, from Flint, Michigan, on the zone, February 22nd, Clarissa Shields is fighting Danielle Perkins. You know, see, this is the problem with Clarissa Shields. Let's just keep it 100. She's shitting on people like Serrano and Taylor, right? 2 future Hall of Famers fighting in a huge, huge fight on Netflix. Meanwhile, she's going to fight in Flint, Michigan, one of the poorest fucking cities in America. So I don't know how many people are going to that fucking fight. And she's fighting to defend her heavyweight title against a woman who's 42 fucking years old with 5 fights. You're fighting a 42-year-old with 5 fucking fights, and you wonder why nobody gives a shit about what you're doing in boxing. You're fighting a nobody. This would be like me becoming a fucking professional fighter tomorrow, fighting a 48-year-old, still younger than me, but a 48-year-old with a record of fucking 1-6. Nobody's going to be fucking talking about, ooh, Sean, man, he's taking over the world, right? They're going to be like, yeah, that's a shit opponent. You're a fucking future Hall of Famer. You're the GOAT. Yet you're fighting some 42-year-old fucking woman with 5 professional fights. This is the heavyweight division. There's no one in the division. Like her fighting in this division is literally a fucking waste of time. People talk about the low weight boxers and how they're fighting fucking in divisions where there's no competition. What the fuck is Clarissa Shields doing? She's literally fighting fucking PE teachers from fucking local high schools. Who is this woman? Fucking Danielle Perkins. Literally, she's a PE teacher who fucking goes to the gym on weekends. And because there's no fighters at fucking heavyweight, she's involved in a heavyweight title fight against Clarissa Shields, where Clarissa Shields should score a knockout. I mean, she probably won't, but in truth, she probably should, right? Because she's fighting a fucking bum, an Uber driver. This is the epitome of an Uber driver. Like, this woman is probably going to drive Clarissa Shields to the fucking fight before going to the change room and dressing. Newton versus Tyson. I'd do it for that much money. Clarissa Snaggly Teeth Shields. Yeah, she is what she is. Of course, Chisora's fight fell through. He's going to fight Otto Wallin. That's a good fight. Willie Hutchins versus Sack Parker. That's a good fight. Here we go, people. A solid fight. One we knew was going to happen, and one I'm excited about. Dennis Branchek defending his WBO lightweight title versus Keyshawn Davis. That fight's dynamite, right? It's unfortunate for Branchek. He's been out of the ring since he won his world title, and now he's going to get his opportunity to defend it against Keyshawn Davis. For Keyshawn, this is exactly what people expected, right? For him to fight for a world title, become a champion. Then we're going to have Loma, Keyshawn, Shakur, and Tank Davis. If Shakur would have stayed with fucking ESPN, right? I know he was never going to fight Keyshawn, so that's unfortunate there. But you have three top fighters on ESPN. And then, of course, Tank Davis will continue to do what he does, which is fucking nothing, right? Nothing. But I would not be surprised if Lomachenko's next fight is against Keyshawn Davis for unification. I would not be surprised at all. And for truth, I would be excited about that fight. I'd be super excited. Leif Erickson says, sounds like you're calling me out, Sean. My right arm fucked. Should be exciting 52-year-old versus 48-year-old. Who's going to have a fucking heart attack first? How many rounds can we go before we puke on each other's feet? I don't know if anybody wants to watch that. It could be disgusting. Jack Catterall versus Arnold Barboza. Obviously, that fight I don't think is confirmed yet because Barboza just fucking called out Catterall, who said Barboza was chicken and didn't sign the contract. And Barboza said, we're fucking negotiating. So hold your fucking horses. Then, of course, the Better Bia fight fell through. Yeah, there you go. Who were we talking about earlier? Dubois versus Joe Parker for the IBF heavyweight title. So Parker is getting his opportunity. Clarissa Shields has a movie that no one gives a shit about. That movie is probably going to get as much views as fucking Andre Ward's movie. Two movies that fucking are literally a waste of film. Adamus Hamza Shiraz, Ismail fucking Madrimov versus Virgil Ortiz, Boatse Smith, Keyshawn Davis versus Floyd Schofield, and Jile Zhang versus Ajikabial. That card's great. Even without Better Biev and Bivol, you still have this fucking lineup. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 fights that could easily headline other cards. That shit's dynamite. Loma is at a big disadvantage with fighting taller guys with long arms and power. Yeah, I know. But unfortunately, that is what it is, right? You know, that's where your experience, your footwork, and just your overall determination becomes a big factor, right? Especially your experience. You're trying to get these young guys to get too froggy, right? Getting too froggy so you can take advantage of their inexperience with all your experience. So we will see. I hope that Loma retires. Davis doesn't deserve to be fed Loma, especially since Javante didn't want to fight him for years. Now it's too late. I agree with you. I agree with you. But I'm a Lomachenko fan. There's nothing I would like more than for Lomachenko to fight Tank Davis and expose him in the ring and have all those Tank Davis fans fucking cry robbery, moan and groan, fucking, cry, scream, talk conspiracy, and try to make up excuses about why Tank Davis, their fucking fuckboy, ended up losing to a 37-year-old Vasily Lomachenko. And the truth is, Lomachenko is just better than anybody Tank Davis has been in the ring with. And it ain't fucking even close, even at 37 years old, right? And we've seen plenty of boxers outbox fucking Tank Davis round after round after round, eventually getting caught. Lomachenko could get caught, right? He's been caught before, always got up and fucking went on to dominate fights afterwards. But nonetheless, I think he's a good enough fighter. I would prefer his chances against Tank Davis than I would versus Shakur Stevenson. And obviously, I prefer his chances against Keyshawn Davis. I mean, I think Keyshawn is great, but he's still a young, inexperienced professional fighter. Uh, I foresee Loma being showboating if he is successful versus Davis, and boom, fight is over. That ain't gonna happen. Loma showboating. He won't showboat against a dangerous puncher like Tank Davis. Loma is much better, but he's not powerful enough. Davis is totally in his prime. This is true. This is true. But Davis is a fighter who's overly confident, gets easily frustrated, has very low punch output, so you can easily win rounds from him just because you are being busy hitting him. And he's going to be waiting for the counter shot to figure out when he could land the counter shot. He easily could be waiting 12 fucking rounds, never get that counter shot, and go on to lose to Lomachenko easily. Easily. Tank being ducked Loma for 6 years. That's true. He did. Unfortunately, Tank Davis fanboys are ignoring that. Are they fighting? No, we're not saying they are fighting. We're just saying possible fights that could happen in 2025. We know that Loma and Tank were in discussion for a unification fight. Obviously, I think a Keyshawn Davis fight makes more sense because they're both part of ESPN, and ESPN would like nothing better than to use Lomachenko to build up Keyshawn. They wouldn't necessarily want to use Lomachenko to build up Tank Davis, right? So it makes more sense to go in that direction. But I hear what you're saying. Yeah, problem is that Davis really knows what he does. He has deep amateur background. Yeah, but even his deep amateur background is American based, right? He wasn't fighting Ukrainian, Russian, fucking Kazakhstanian, Uzbekistanian, Cuban fighters. He's fighting mostly domestic American fighters. His amateur pedigree is not that great. He wasn't fighting at that level, right? They robbed Lomachenko against Haney. You know they will against Tank for sure. Yeah, I don't doubt that that is the way it is. But for that to happen, Tank Davis is going to have to fucking bite down on his shield and fucking let his hands go. Because otherwise, he's going to lose because he's just going to get outlanded, right? Davis versus Loma doesn't make the full 12. Well, Loma's a southpaw. Davis is a southpaw. So Davis' biggest punch is going to be his right hand down the middle. But that's not really his biggest punch. I think Lomachenko, we saw what Lomachenko did against Rigo, another sweet, skilled, sexy southpaw. He fucking embarrassed him. Not to say he's going to do that with Tank Davis, but Rigo is obviously a far better, more skilled fucking fighter than Tank Davis is. Also a hard puncher as well. Judges are biased for black fighters. Black boxers get the benefit of the doubt too much, a la Loma and Haney. Well, I think that's more about American than it is black specifically, but I get your point. Nobody is more a Loma fan than me in the room, but I can guarantee you that he would not beat Davis. I mean, I would know on who to bet. Loma is no more than a man who destroyed Rigo, especially at 135. Huh? I would know on who to bet. Loma is no more the man who destroyed Rigo, especially at 135. Of course, he's not, but he still is great. We saw that he was super competitive against Haney, who's a much tougher prospect than fucking Tank Davis. Taller, longer, heavier. And Lomachenko really won the fight. If he didn't have three American judges, he would have got the decision, right? We saw what he did with Cambosis, did what fucking Haney and Lopez couldn't do, fucking destroyed him. So I don't think people should write off Lomachenko too quickly. I know, man. I don't particularly appreciate Davis. I know about his ducking. I like Davis, right? And I'm not looking past Davis or dismissing him. He's obviously a skilled fighter, but the biggest problem he has, I mean, if we look at who he's fought, I know, Sean, I saw the Loma did, but I am just sharing my view of it. Yeah, I appreciate that. Ryan destroyed Haney and Tank destroyed Ryan. I know styles make fights. Oh, come on. Ryan did not destroy Haney. He dropped Haney 3 times and he still was lucky to get the victory because every round he didn't get a knockdown, he was getting pieced up and beat by Devin Haney. Devin Haney lost that fight. Ryan Garcia did not win that fight. Uh, and, you know, that's a little different. The Ryan Garcia you saw against Haney was a 160-pound Ryan Garcia. The Ryan Garcia we saw versus Tank Davis was a 145-pound Ryan Garcia. Sean, you picking Fury again? Still haven't learned. Actually, I picked Usyk the first time. I was right the first time around. I predicted Usyk would win. This time, I'm edging Fury. Ryan did pretty much nothing except for those knockdowns. The rest was shaky. Exactly. He looked like he could have easily got fucking railroaded and knocked out in that fight. He did not look fucking convincing. He did not look strong physically. He looked pretty fucking close to easily being pushed over the edge. Don't push me because I'm close to the edge. I'm trying not to lose my. I'm on. He destroyed him. Look at his face. Oh my God, destroyed him. Dude, on the cards, the guy was fucking this lucky to win the fight. I had it a draw. He landed 62 punches of 400. Think about it. It's just that his left hand is big power. When he hit Haney, Haney folded like a fucking cheap suit, right? But I ain't trying to fucking hate on Ryan Garcia. The problem with him is he's his worst fucking enemy. He's a fuck boy, right? He could be something special, but unfortunately, he's an idiot. So he's never going to live up to any of that. Sean, I think you always forget the first round of Ryan Haney. Haney was getting hit a lot. One round does not fucking mean anything. Fury, really? Usyk is the better boxer. Better boxers usually do better in the rematch. Yeah, but I'm still edging Fury. I think there's lots of particular factors that may play in. I was pretty impressed with what Fury was doing when he was throwing his combinations and uppercut. Obviously, Usyk might take that away, but I think it'll be an intriguing fight. I won't be sad if Usyk wins, right? Fury Usyk 1 was competitive. Why wouldn't part 2 be more competitive? Exactly. I think both guys can make adjustments. It should be a great fight. I'm excited. If Usyk wins, I'll be fucking even more excited. If he loses, then I'll just say, hey, I got it right. Hey, Sean Unboxing. What's up, Romanian Mike? Long time no see. But people, I'm going to go take the puppy dog for a walk. She's been sitting at home all day. And I will see you guys soon. Obviously, boxing is coming this weekend. Stay tuned. I'm not sure if I'll go live. It'll be a difference if I can actually get the fight on DAZN. If I can, I will. If I can't, like recently I've been struggling, then I might not. 1 round means he won the fight with the 3 knockdowns, and Haney did not look good the last round either. What's the topic? We're just talking about Usyk and Fury and just making our predictions on the upcoming fight this weekend. Uh, Most people are edging Usyk to win in the rematch. Fury showed that he could adapt from fight to fight. He showed great changes for the second Wilder fight. Usyk will also come with more knowledge. It'll be super interesting. It will be. I think so. I think it's a real competitive fight. Don't get me wrong. I would not be against people edging Usyk to win, not at all. But I need to make a prediction for my prediction league and try to make a prediction that other people might not get right, so I can get extra points on it. And my prediction is Fury by split decision. Does your dog get excited for a walk? Let's see. Lily, you want to go for a walk? You want to go for a walk? Want to go for a walk? I guess that answers that question. But hope Fury wins. Usyk sucks for heavyweight boxing. Oh, come on. Hopefully Usyk goes to cruiserweight afterwards. But thanks, guys. I will see you next time. Peace out, everyone. And we'll be talking sometime later this week. Later. Okay.